midnight, Congress adjourned without reconsidering the bonus bill. Members of Congress left through underground tunnels to avoid the veterans waiting outside.
Take it from me, this is the greatest demonstration of Americanism we've ever had. Pure Americanism. Willing to take this beating as you've taken it. Stand right steady. You keep every law. And why in the hell shouldn't you? Who in the hell has done all the bleeding for this country and for this law and this Constitution anyhow but you fellas? But don't take a step back. Remember, as soon as you haul down your camp flag here, then clear out this thing, every one of you clears out, this evaporates in thin air. And all this struggle will have been no good.
Washington authorities wanted their city back. 12 days after Congress adjourned, the district commissioners ordered police to evict the veterans from the buildings on Pennsylvania Avenue. "1,000 angry veterans poured across the bridge from the main camp at Anacostia into downtown."
We had no special training to handle riots. Veterans refused to move. They got bricks and started throwing at the policemen. Several of the policemen were hurt, and some of the policemen picked up bricks and threw them back at the veterans.
Then the police opened fire. One veteran was killed. Another lay dying. City commissioners now requested that the president call out the military. By 4 o'clock, Army troops were in position behind the White House.
I had a press card, and I used it to get through the police line, and I saw advancing towards us some cavalry, some marching troops, a couple of not too formidable whippet tanks, and I suddenly realized that the commander was the Chief of Staff of the United States at the time, General MacArthur, and that assisting him were two majors, Major George Patton, and the other was Major Dwight D. Eisenhower.
The cavalry men pulled their sabers out of their scabbards. The troops fixed bayonets.
I heard a bugle sound, and they all drew their sabers, and then another bugle sound, and the whole line started forward at a walk.
MacArthur's orders from Hoover were to surround the area on Pennsylvania Avenue and clear it without delay. In violation of those orders, MacArthur began to clear the entire city of the bonus army.
Here were young fellows, of course a lot younger than most of the veterans, were charged with going out and actually using force against people that had fought for the United States in World War I.
The men who had been under fire in Europe, and this was nothing new to them, kept the proper distance, and when a canister of tear gas would be thrown, part of the time they'd throw it back.
It was a feeling of frustration. You wanted to help both of them. You know you couldn't do anything. It was something that I'll never forget.
I happened to be near General MacArthur, and I saw him speak to a sergeant, and then I saw the sergeant collect a squad and then go down the row of ramshackle huts, and they'd throw a wad of newspaper into a corner of a hut and set that alight, and they went right down the whole row that way, and pretty soon the whole row was burning.
While MacArthur's troops mopped up downtown, 3 of his tanks held the bridge leading to Anacostia. Trapped inside the camp with the veterans were 600 of their wives and children.
My father was away in the tent. Came back and told my mother that they were going to march on the Capitol. He was going to march in force. And, of course, course, my mother was a little upset about it. When we started to cross the bridge, and I saw these soldiers, and I've never seen tanks and soldiers on horses and soldiers with bayonets before, and and my father was pretty headstrong. I didn't know whether he was going to try to go through them or not, but it was frightening. Yeah, I remember very well. It was something I'll never forget.
Twice that night, Hoover ordered MacArthur not to cross into Anacostia, but the general chose to ignore presidential authority. A few minutes after 11 p.m., he sent his troops across the bridge. By midnight, all of Washington could see Anacostia burning.
What had gone on reinforced my feeling that it was too bad that the richest country in the world couldn't do a better job of caring for its own people. I just thought America didn't give a very good account of itself that night.
While the ruins of Anacostia smoldered, bonus marchers filled the roads leaving the capital. As the men retreated, General MacArthur reported that the veterans had intended to take over the government. Although
Insurrection, motherfuckers.
MacArthur had violated direct orders, President Hoover took full responsibility for the eviction of the bonus army. In Albany, New York, Franklin Roosevelt, the Democratic candidate for president, listened to radio reports of the rout and told his aide he thought Hoover had already lost the election.
The next morning at the breakfast table, the president was very much upset. And he said to the cabinet, he says, I know there's no way we can explain to the American people what happened yesterday. Why did we have to use so much force against unarmed veterans? He says, why did we have to do that? He says, I know the Democrats are laughing themselves to death